Hi, hello, and welcome back to F1 Challenge VB. My name is Mephisto, and our journey through the history of Formula 1 continues today with the opening round of the 1954 season, the Argentine Grand Prix. But before we begin, let's have a quick look at the poll results. First, I would like to thank all who took part in the poll. It's very much appreciated, and it looks like my idea to start the poll as soon as the season starts has paid off, because there were 48 votes, the most there's ever been, and I'm very grateful for that. But anyway, let's break down the results. Ferrari received no love whatsoever, and even though we drove for them in the past two seasons, I would have expected to see at least one or two votes. Anyway, moving on, Sterling Moss's Maserati received one vote, Simca Gordini received 4 votes, Maserati also received 4 votes. The second most voted team came quite as a surprise to me. It's Ascari's Lancia, which received 15 votes, but the clear winner, and this one didn't surprise me at all, the most voted team was Mercedes with 24 votes. In fact, I would have been surprised if Mercedes didn't receive the majority of votes. Once again, thank you to everyone who took part in the poll, and thank you to all my viewers and all my subscribers. You guys are awesome. Now, before we move on, I would like to talk a little bit about the Mercedes in this mod. It should come as no surprise that in real life, the Silver Arrows team was dominating, in pretty much the same way they've been doing in recent years. And that kind of translates into the game as well, but unfortunately, I think that the person who programmed the W196 Streamliner and W196R has no idea how cars work. Let me explain. First of all, in order to even make the car drivable, I will have to lengthen the gears. Now, if you've been following motorsports for any length of time, or if you've been playing racing sims for any length of time, you'll know that the shorter the gear ratios, the higher the acceleration, and the longer the gear ratios, the higher the top speed. And since I had to lengthen the gears, it makes an already overpowered car even more overpowered, as long as you drive in a straight line. Which brings me on to the second point. I don't know much about the real-life performance details of the W196, but in the game it suffered from massive understeer, to the point where you need to slow down the car so much that any advantage you might have had on the straight goes straight out the window in any kind of corner, but especially in high-speed ones. The third thing I need to mention is the fact that you can't completely stop the car unless you put it into neutral or press the clutch. Otherwise, no matter how hard you step on the brakes, the car will still travel at around 44 to 45 kph. I'm guessing that's some sort of a bug or something, and not helping is the fact that it's super easy to lock up in this car, no matter how slow or fast you're going. And the last point I'd like to mention is that the Mercedes W196 along with the Lancia have virtually no force feedback. All other cars have FFB, but not these two. Well, they do have a bit of force feedback when you hit something or when you drive onto curves, but there's no feedback when driving. Basically, it's like holding a piece of paper and using that to control the car. Generally, it goes about as well as you'd expect. All these things combined will make the season very difficult, so expect a lot of retirement from Andy in 1954. So with all that said, let's take a quick look at the 1954 season. It was held between the 17th of January and 24th of October. It consisted of 34 races, 9 of those were part of the World Championship, whilst the other 25 were non-championship events. The new season brought along a couple of changes, the biggest of which was the return to Formula 1 cars and regulations. As you know, in the last two seasons we drove Formula 2 spec cars, which at the time used 2-liter naturally aspirated engines, whereas prior to 1952, Formula 1 used both 1.5-liter supercharged engines or 3-liter unsupercharged engines. However, for the 54 season, the FIA imposed a slightly more restricting regulation, everyone had to use 2.5-liter unsupercharged engines. But this slowly changed, and by 1955, the 1.5-liter and 3-liter engines would reappear. A small change has also been made to the scoring system. Since the start of the World Championship in 1950, only the top 4 results in any season counted towards the championship, but in 1954 the top 5 results were kept, meaning that there were a few more points to go around. Other than that, everything stayed the same. Points were awarded for the top 5 drivers, with the winner receiving 8 points and the person finishing in 5th receiving 2 points, with 1 point being awarded to the person posting the fastest lap in a race. With that in mind, Juan Manuel Fangio, who started off the season driving for Maserati, then joining Mercedes from the 4th round onwards, claimed the 1954 world title by winning 6 of the 9 races and scoring a massive, for the time at least, 42 points, or 57 and a seventh of a point, without taking into account drop points. And I just now realized that up until now I kept calling them shared points, and nobody even noticed. Anyway, Jose Froilan Gonzalez finished the season in second with 25 and a seventh of a point, or 26 and 9/14 of a point without the dropped points. And Mike Hawthorne finished the season in third with 24 and 9/14 of a point. And I'll talk a bit more about these seemingly weird points a little bit later in the season. Now let's have a brief look at the Argentine Grand Prix. It was held on the 17th of January. It had 18 entries, all of them took part in the race, but there were 9 retirements. The race consisted of 87 laps completed in 3 hours and 56 seconds. Farina claimed pole position, with Gonzalez in second, Fangio third, Hawthorne fourth, and Trintignant fifth. Fangio won the Argentine Grand Prix, Farina finished in second, 1 minute 19 seconds behind. Gonzalez crossed the line in third, 2 minutes and 1 second adrift. Trintignant finished fourth, he was 1 lap behind, and Eli Bayol came home in fifth, he was 2 laps behind. 1 minute 48.2 seconds was the fastest lap of the race, and it was posted by Jose Froilan Gonzalez. We're back in Argentina for the season opener, and this time we are racing in a reverse direction, i.e. what was last season's turn 1 is this season's final turn, which is an interesting concept, and I've never heard of something like this aside from this one time. And so the lap begins with a quick sprint into turn 1, a high-speed right-hander, which leads into turn 2, a left-hand hairpin. Next we come into this chicane which goes uphill, making it easier to navigate than last season. Next follows the slowest section of the track, which begins with 2 slow right-handers that lead into a slow chicane which itself leads into the second hairpin, which used to be the first hairpin. Try not to be too aggressive with the throttle on the exit, as you can lose the back of the car here. Next is a medium speed left-hander, and lastly we have the final corner, a long left-hander that brings us back around and onto the main straight, and that is a lap around the Buenos Aires circuit. And here we are in qualifying. We're starting from the pits because I wanted to show you something interesting. The first one being that the pit guy is showing us the wrong way, but that was the other thing. One of the Maseratis crashed into Moss's Maserati and I almost got wiped out myself. But anyway, let's start this lap, and here I am coming to post a 2 minute 03.12 second lap. That's more than half a minute slower than pole position, but I cannot be asked to try again. This car is really difficult to control. This is going to be a very interesting season. And by the way, I was holding the brake before until the end. This is a new feature I've introduced. The winners of the each Grand Prix. Obviously, there was only one Grand Prix before this. So Juan Manuel Fangio starts on pole, Gonzalez is second, Trintignant third, Hawthorne is fourth, with Umberto Malioli starting from fifth. André Pilet is sixth, Robert Manzo seventh, Nino Farina eighth, followed by Luigi Mussa in ninth. Roberto Mieres starts from 10th, Onofre Marimon is 11th, Sterling Moss is 12th, Sergio Mantovani starts from 13th, Luigi Villoresi from 14th, Eli Bayol 15th, Prince Bira 16th. In 17th we have Jean Bera, Alberto Ascari is 18th, Herman Lang 19th, and our guy Andy Higgs is in 20th, unfortunately. And for some reason Herman Lang's car is the wrong one. The version he's using, the W196R, should only appear after in the German Grand Prix. But anyway, we are off, and I'm going to try to be as gentle and as careful with this car as possible. Again, I've lengthened the gears to make it easier to control, but it's still pretty damn hard to control, even so, especially because of the massively horrendous understeer, and you'll see me struggle quite a lot as we come into this hairpin. You should be able to go a lot faster through there than what I'm doing, but oh well. This is what we have. So this is what we'll have to accept as we come through the chicane, and I have no idea what happened there. I was unable. I tried to brake, but as I told you in the intro, you cannot actually stop the car unless you put the car into neutral or press the clutch, which is kind of counterintuitive to do in a race situation. But anyway, here is a replay of the start. Kind of slow on my end, but I did it because I was trying to be as cautious as possible, just in order to not lose the car. And that is a very good camera positioning there, by the way. It shows everything you need to see. Sarcasm aside, we're coming into the hairpin now, and we have a look at Herman Lang towards the end of the lap, who decided to go off-roading a bit and then crashed into a Ferrari, and he lost both his front right wheel and his steering wheel somehow. That's something I've never seen happen in the game, as we now tried to approach Eli Bayol in the Simca, but I cannot go as fast as he through the corners because this car is stupid. And yes, this is going to be a theme for the rest of the season. I'm going to call this car very stupid and pointless. And Luigi Villoresi in the Maserati decided to stop his car in the middle of the road for no goddamn reason. And we're here to start another lap, which is apparently still lap 2. So the lap counter went haywire, as well as the lap timer, because it didn't reset as it should have. This should be lap 3. What the actual freaking hell is happening? And Eli Bayol somehow is one lap ahead of us, despite the fact that he just a few seconds ago he was just 1.5 seconds in front of us. What the actual is happening? And I lose control of the car, obviously, because that's what you do in the Mercedes. This is lap whatever, lap 2 apparently, still somehow, and I'm being lapped by someone. I'm getting a green flag, and I think that's Alberto Ascari in front of us in the Lancia. I'm trying to control the car, but not very successfully, and again we started a new lap, but the lap counter didn't reset. And here is Nino Farina losing control of his Ferrari and going off the map, as you do. Next we have Eli Bayol in his Simca Gordini, who crashes into something and loses his front left, as you do. Next is Mike Hawthorne, who loses control of his Ferrari, and I guess he was collected by Eli Bayol. Weird race. Very, very weird race. And now somehow we unlapped ourselves at some point, because I have no idea what's going on. I really have no idea. Ooh, the lap counter decided to work again. How wonderful. So we are now on lap 3, which is actually lap... at least lap 6 or something. Anyway, this is lap 8. Or whatever. I'm trying to come through the chicane. Very difficult to control the car. And someone hit me from behind. You saw there I had a massive lockup. Someone else hit me. And I'm holding the brakes at this point, by the way. And the car is still going forward. Still holding the brakes. Still holding the brakes. But the car keeps moving on. Put the car into neutral and it stops. Put it into gear again and it starts going again. What a piece of rubbish. And here is a replay of what happened. I locked up, then I got hit by a bunch of cars. You can see that my front wheels aren't spinning at all. I was holding the brakes the entire time, but the car doesn't want to stop. And because of that I couldn't get back onto the track. However, to be absolutely honest, I'm thankful that it is over. I didn't want to go another lap. This was very frustrating to do. And here is Alberto Ascari, who decided that he wanted to crash into cars randomly, because that's what you do in Formula 1, I think. And this is Jean Bera, who eventually won the race. He didn't complete the entire race, by the way. He only completed 29 of the 30 laps that were in the race, so he completed 90% of race distance. So did everyone all the way down to Trintignant, who managed to post the fastest lap of the race and actually even posted the new lap record. But yeah, this was a very, very, very odd race. I don't really know what to say. It was very frustrating. There obviously you saw there were a lot of replays, but I couldn't show them to you because of very, very odd angles. Most of the cameras on this track are placed behind trees, so you can't see a lot. But yeah, this track is very bugged. So if the people who are working on the mod are watching this video, please take note and try to fix it. I know we won't return to this particular track again, but, well, to this layout of the track anyway. But yeah, please try to fix it. It was very frustrating. The lap counter and obviously the fact that the Mercedes is difficult to control didn't help at all. But anyway, here are the career statistics. This was Andy's 34th Grand Prix. His best start is from first, has 2 pole positions, has set 8 fastest laps. His best finish is first, has completed 22 races, all of which in the points, has won 13 times, 2 of which were at the Indianapolis 500, no wins at the Monaco Grand Prix, has 3 championships under his belt, has scored a total of 145 points, has retired 12 times, has experienced 704 out of 917 laps, has 4 bronze trophies, 2 silver trophies, 13 gold trophies, and as an extension 13 podiums. And here are the championship standings. Jean Bera leading the championship at the moment, with Pilet in second, Malioli in third, Manzon fourth, and Trintignant fifth. And Andy Higgs is down in 15th. Again, this was a very odd race, a very infuriating race, a very, I don't know, it wasn't fun. The car is very, very difficult to control even in the best of situations, but here it was just insane. I really have no words. Hopefully it will be a little bit better in the upcoming races, but I really didn't have a lot of fun here. Again, the car is very difficult to control and not in a satisfying way. I like to drive difficult cars. I like to drive these old cars, especially in games where the physics work properly, but the way this Mercedes handles here is absolutely atrocious. But anyway, that is it from this very, very weird 1954 Argentine Grand Prix. That is it from the video and from me. You can already start to vote for next season's team, so check the link in the description box below, which will take you to a straw poll, and there you can vote for next season's team as you've been doing so far. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, if you can. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, stay sharp.